Day third. Usually today is day fourth of the week, but today we will be on the day third of CSS Beginner to Advanced series, and today we will be starting with CSS Grid, and tomorrow also some part of CSS Grid, and we'll be doing some projects on CSS, which uses a combination of Flexbox, Grid. So welcome back. We'll be starting in some after some couple of seconds, and I have uh, 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 so I am almost ready with my setup and grid. And today we will be viewing our live server project in the Firefox Developer Edition also, for some things which I want to show you. 1 second. Okay. Yeah, hello, Amar, hello. My audio and video is clear properly. Can someone please reply? My voice is clear. Is any glitch or delay or crack sound is there? Please confirm. Thanks, Prakash. Thanks, Amar. Yeah, fine. So because yesterday or day before yesterday, we have some glitches in the live session, which yeah, okay, Nivedita, you are again here. Fine. So I just recall your name. That's why. So yesterday, day before yesterday, in our React series, we have some glitches. So that's why we have started now confirming with the audience that is everything okay or not. We will confirm even twice in the session. So the our session also today will be of 1 and 1.5 hours, between 1 to 1.5 hours, and we will try to complete it today. But grid is a vast topic; it requires 2 days, 2 days, or I can say 2 hours to complete. So I will try to cover today, and tomorrow again we will be having some part of grid, and after this grid we will have some projects also. So let's wait for some more seconds so that some more people will join, and then we will start with CSS Grid. I hope you have got an idea of CSS Basics, box model, styling of list, styling of forms, and CSS Flexbox, pseudo classes. These are the main topics what we have covered, and I remembered what we have covered now. So yes. So okay. By the time, let me share the WhatsApp group link so that in case you or someone wants to join, they can join also. Please join the group. For those who are not in the group, please join the group. For the updates. Fine. So let us start now, because already we have waited 5 minutes. So let us start with the CSS grid today. And let me tell you one thing very clearly. Today we will be doing the CSS grid, and I will try to link the things as what I will be doing in the last classes. theoretically with the practically, because you need to have a hands-on rather than the theoretical knowledge. So I have changed to CSS Grid already. Yeah, right. So now, what is CSS Grid and what is Flexbox? Flexbox, as similarly, Flexbox is a display property of CSS Grid of CSS. Similarly, CSS Grid is also a display property, and Flexbox has a limitation that it works only in one direction, but CSS Grid has no limitation, and CSS Grid divides whole of your page into rows and columns in order to place the item. Generally, developers use a combination of Flexbox and Grid in their projects. Fine. So CSS Grid, again telling you, divide whole of your page into columns and rows, as there are many ways in CSS Grid in which you can divide it, and after dividing it you can place your items. So let us have a basic understanding of how grid is working, how grid will work. So one second. Fine, so I've increased the font size so that you people can you people can view it properly, or in case someone is watching through the mobile, so they have a better clarity on it. 1 second. Fine. So now, 1 second. Let me have a basic setup first. This is a basic div structure, and here and a basic structure here what I have already created here, which have a display in a linear gradient format, and it's a very simple code. You can understand very properly. I don't think you can have an issue in understanding it. So now let us start with the class. Control C. Always copy the class name. Please make it a mandate rule. Control, sorry, dot container. And now let us add grid functionality here. So how? So try to use the shortcuts, because since how you will use to type the entire code. 1 second. So I use DG display grid, but nothing will happen. Even nothing will happen. Why? Because as I've told you, grid will divide whole of your page into rows and columns. So you need to declare how many rows and how many columns you want to create to place your item. So now let us have grid template columns, and in this grid template column let us declare one column of 200 px and another column of 500 px. So now let me open this in the Firefox developer edition. Why I have picked up this developer edition, there is a logic. I will tell you now. So now let me open the inspect option, and in this inspect, 1 second. Fine. So now, as you all can see, these lines are basically grids. which divides whole of your page into columns and rows. Now let's declare rows also. So GTR, grid template rows, GTR. Fine. Either you can write GR ID dash TMP. So no need to write the complete thing. GTR grid template rows. Now we will declare 3 rows. 200 px, 100 px, and 300 px. So now, as you can see, one second, let me adjust, let me create grids. One second. Fine. So now, as you see, we have declared grid template columns, 2 columns and 3 rows, 1, 2, and 3. So here, as you see what is happening here, we have 10 items and we have declared 2 columns and 3 rows. So that means we can place only 6. But we can place only 6. But what for this last 7, 8, and 9, 10? What has happened? A system by default, depending upon the size of this item, have declared a space for this 7, 8, 9, and 10. So this is how the responsiveness of grid can be seen. Fine. Okay, so now moving on to the next part here, where we will be declaring the spaces for this 7, 8, 9, and 10. Before it, let's have another important property of grid gap. We have the grid gap of 5px. What is this grid gap? As you all can see, these lines are created with the functionality of grid gap. Fine. This property is called as grid gaps. So we have given grid gap of 5px. Now let us declare if any of the grid have items where this size has been allocated based upon the size of the items. So we have a functionality in which we will be declaring this. But before moving to this topic, let us have a basic idea of implicit and explicit. So here, let us have a basic idea of what are implicit and explicit tracks. So let me, I am zooming here. Fine. So let's focus here. If you see these dashes, these dashes are created by the grid. These dashes are created when we declared grid template rows and grid template columns. And if you see in 7, 8, 9, and 10, we have dots. We have dots. So these dots are created by the grid system. So these dash lines are the explicit rows these dash lines are the explicit rows which is being created by declaring grid template rows and grid template columns as what we have declared here, and the dotted dots which are created by the grid system are called as implicit tracks. Fine. Fine. So now moving on to the next topic here. Let us have a functionality here, grid auto row. Sorry. Grid auto row. Grid auto row. We will use 150p X. So here, if you see, let me make it small. Fine. So you will be able to see it properly now. Now, as you see, the size of now 7, 8, 9, and 10, the space allotted to 7, 8, 9, and 10 has been increased now. Let me make it, see, full red, Control S. So now what we have declared here, we have declared if any of the items left over and moved to the next row, the size of that rows will be 150px. This is the functionality of grid auto rows. So as you all can see, 7, 8, 9, and 10 uses the space of 150px, means this space is 150px. Earlier this space was allotted by the size of the content. Now we have declared the size as 150px. Now moving on to the next important property in CSS Grid, which is called as a grid auto flow property. What is this auto flow property? So let me have I'm just changing the basic structure in order to show you the functionality of grid auto flow. So now we will have only columns here, rows is not required, so removing it. Grid auto rows is also not required. Fine. Oh, sorry. Okay, fine, got it. So here, as you all can see, we have only two items and we have declared two columns, and we have grid gap also of 5px, which is this one. So now here, by default, if any of the items will be added here, its by nature comes below item number 1. By default, it it uses their by default nature and comes below item number 1. So in case if we want any item to be created by the side of 2, we uses a property which is called as the grid auto flow property, in which we will be declaring that if any item will be added, it will come by the side of item number 2. So now let as I've told you, as soon as we have created the next item, it will come by below item number 1. Now let's have grid auto flow and see. As soon as I have given grid auto flow column, so it has shifted by the side of item number 2. Grid auto flow, see, it has shifted by the side of item number 2. So this, if it is, if I change it to row, it will come below item number 1. Now let us have uh, let us discuss the property of sizing tracks in CSS. What are sizing tracks? Guys, my voice is clear. Can someone confirm me, please? Am I audible properly? Can someone confirm me, please? Hmm. Thanks, Nivedita. Thanks. So now, moving on to the next important property of CSS, which is called as the sizing tracks in CSS Grid. So now, let me have a basic structure. One second. Here, grid auto flow is not required now. So now I will be removing, or I will be removing this part. Let's grids now. So one second, one more second. Fine. So now, what are sizing tracks? Let us go into this deep with the help of some examples. So we have grid template column of 25%. See, we have declared 4 columns here with the available screen size of 100%, adding 20 px as a grid cap. So what has happened? This last items, this last row have actually stick have actually stick have actually go inside the screen. If you see this item number 4, 6 and 12, see 4, 8 and 12, see why this happened? Because 25, 25, 25, 25 means 100%, and grid gap of 20 px. That is, the additional 20 px has been added in this grid gap. Additional 20 px has been added as a part of grid gap. So that means the total screen size will be 120 now. So let us have two explicit width column of 200 px and 150 px now. Now see what has happened. And let's us have a border property also. Green class not coming properly. Let's have white. Fine, perfect. So we have currently here two columns. All these columns are inside a border. So now we will add one more column with a FR property. So let us see how this FR property will work. So FR, what FR will take? The leftover space after 200 px means the column number 1, 150 px means the column number 2 has been taken by the column number 3. This is the property of FR, or I can say this is the beauty of FR, which actually takes the leftover space for themselves. Now let us add 2 times of FR and see what has happened. So here first column is of 200 px, second column is of 150 px, third column is of 1FR. 1FR means the leftover space has been taken by this column number 3, and twice of this leftover space has been taken up by the last column. This is how this 2FR will act. So FR is a very unique property which comes like this. Now let us use some auto property here and see what is happening. See, what is this auto property? Auto property, as the name suggests, by default, depending upon the size of the item inside the space will be allotted. So now let us increase the item size and see what is happening. See what has happened here. As soon as I increase the size of item number 1, by default, the entire column size has been increased. This auto will react like this. Now let us have let us add a repeat function here. Repeat function here, as you all can see, makes this thing very repeat, and in this we will automate this thing once again. We want 2 times of 1FR. So now, oh, very good. So here, see what has happened here. First column is of auto, Second and third column is with the repeat function. Two columns of one FR means two column of one FR, then again one FR, and the last column is of two FR. So this is how repeat functionality will work. So you can use one FR, again 3FR. Now see what has happened. See, first column is of auto, second we have two times of one FR. So this is one FR, this is one FR, again 2FR, 2FR, then again 1FR and 2FR. So this is how this functionality will work and will minimize the task of the developers. Yeah, thanks Prashant, thanks. So now let us add some more things in the sizing of grids. One second. So for this I need to have a much more bigger div. Fine. So now see, using this repeat functionality, how in a single click we create we want five times of so here D will be one second. One second, why columns are not created here? Fine. So there is some issue with the code. So here we have corrected it. Now, as you all can see, 1 second. Fine. So now let us have, let us target this item number 9. Let us target this item number 9, and let me increase this item number 9 size to 500 px. So also the color of the background color of this item number 9 has been changed to white. So now why why do we did this? Because we will be applying some CSS in this particular item, and you will be able to easily identify it. So now let us have, here if you see, we have increased the size of item number 9 to twice of the spaces being given to the rest of the items, but it has disturbed the entire structure. Ideally it should be like this, that it has the space as per their allotment without affecting the rest of the cells. So for this, there is a functionality called grid column span of 2, and let me comment it out. So here if you see, twice of the space has been utilized by item number 9, fine, without disturbing the entire structure. This is how, using this span functionality, you can use this span of 3 also. Fine. So this is how this functionality will work. This span functionality will actually, so you can have in this grid row also span of, let us have the 4 spans we want. See, without disturbing the entire column or the entire row, they have merged the cells and take the desired space what we have told to do. Fine. So this is how you can merge the cells using the span functionality. Now let us have some shortcuts here. In case if I want, 1 second, in case if I want this merging to start from some column and end till some column, there is a code called grid column start. 1 second, let me delete it out. We have grid column start, and we have grid column end. So we want this merging to start from 2 and to end from and to end at 4. Let us see. So we want this merging to start from column number 2. So this is the start of column number 2 and till the end of column number 4. So see, it has ended. So this is how this merging feature will be used using this single code, grid column start and grid column end. So here we can use this for row also. Grid row start, grid row end, save it. So from the start of 2 till the end of 4, it works. Now again we have some shortcuts here. So let us have the shortcut as grid column 2 with a span of 3. See, it start from 2 and take the space of 3. So this functionality will actually help you to design your headers, footers, in which you will be merging the available spaces. Fine. So I request you all to please link what we are doing here to the web pages what so far you have seen in your life. How things will get started. Fine. So now again we have a shortcut here. This is the fourth shortcut. So we will tell the grid column to start from 1 and end till 4. So start from 1 and end till 4. Start from 2, sorry, low, start from 1 and end till 4. So start at 1 and end at 4. Similarly, you can use for grid row also. From 2 to 5. See, this is how it works. So it looks very simple, but trust me, when you start doing it, your mind will be lost. So do keep practice. Now let us use autofill and autofit with this repeat functionality. So my voice is clear by here. Can someone please confirm me? Am I audible? Okay, okay. Thanks. Thanks, Ronak. So now let us have some more properties in CSS Grid, which we will be using the repeat function with autofill and autofit. Autofill, autofit, as the name suggests, autofit, which is used to fit as many as possible items in the same row. So 1 second, let me reduce this to 12. So now let us have not required. So here grid gap of 20 pixels, grid template column. We will be using the auto autofill 150px. So here if you see, one second, let me increase the size. So now I'm closing the Mozilla Firefox. Now uh, uh, shifting to Google Chrome. Now see the response. Fine. See, depending upon the size of the screen, it adjusts automatically. This is the beauty of CSS Grid and CSS Flexbox. By default, it adjusts themselves. No need to write so much of media queries. So we are discussing autofill property. So as you see, this thing, autofill try to fills as many as possible items in the same row. We have given the size of 150px with the repeat function and autofill function. So it tries to fill as many as possible items in the same row. Now, autofit is almost very similar to autofill, but there is a difference. And in order to understand the same, let us do one thing. Let us reduce some more. Let us reduce this also. We will have only 4 items now. Now we will add border here of white color. Now let us have let us have let us target this item number 4, the last item. Item 4, and we will use the grid column end property so it will now affect the grid and ends at last track. So here we have shifted this column towards the end of this track. So now we will using now let us introduce one more important property which is called as min max, and min max along with autofill along with the repeat becomes a very important property, very important feature. So I will show you how min max will actually, one second, one second. So here if you see, it automatically using this min max functionality fits here. Now let us change this item number, or let me afternoon here and see what, or 1 second, let me add afternoon only. Fine. Now, as you all can see, we have given the repeat function. Inside this repeat function, we have used the auto fit here and a min max of 150px and 1fr. Now, see what is happening here. Here, the size, I have reduced the size, but what minmax is doing, we have given two types of spaces here, either 150px or 1fr. So depending upon the available space, items will pick the space here. See, the item 1, 3 and 4 uses 150px, and this afternoon uses the 1fr space. So this is the beauty of min-max along with repeat function along with auto fit. So this is how it responds like this. Now let us have some grid column and grid row concept to place items. For this, I need to go back to the Firefox Developer Edition only. I will tell you why I need to go back. I will show you. So let me remove it. So here, so here if you see, so here if you see, we will be using the grid row and grid column to place the items. If you see here, the item is saying I am a sidebar 1. So sidebar 1 will come here. I am sidebar 2. Sidebar 2 will come here. I am the footer. So footer is already in the place, but we need to fix some more. And this lorem ipsum is the center part. So the sidebar 1, sidebar 2, footer, in the center part, we will be using this grid row and grid column functionality to place the items now. See, how will you doing this? Let us do one thing. See, we have what we have declared now. So we have created 1 FR, 10 FR, and 1 FR. So we have created 3 columns of 1 FR, 10 FR, and 1 FR. Fine. And also 3 rows. The size of the rows are 150px, 150px, and 100px. So what these things are here to do? So let me open this inspect part, and one second. So now we will be creating the grid template areas for the sidebar 1, sidebar 2, and the footer. See, we have declared which is the sidebar 1, which is the sidebar 2, and which is the footer. So this is the sidebar 1, this is the footer, this is the sidebar 2. Now we will be here, as is, if you see, we have created the structure here: sidebar 1, sidebar 1, sidebar 2, sidebar 2. This is the main content, and in the last we have the footer. Now in this we will allocate the content. See, this is how this operation can be performed. So here in the footer we want only footer. In the sidebar 1 we want this item 1. So this is how we have placed the items based upon the grid template rows and grid template columns. And see the response. See, it automatically adjusted themselves. Fine. So now let us have one more very interesting property of CSS, which is called as the legendary Masonry layout. So this is the last topic we will be covering today. And one second. And attendance form has been shared, so you all are requested to please fill the attendance form to have the participation certificate, which we will be issuing by Sunday. Please fill it and reply with yes, so that we all will be able to know that you all have filled it properly. Because what has happened, people are viewing the content properly, thoroughly, but they miss to fill the attendance form. So I'm stopping it for a second or for a minute here. Please fill the form on the link given and submit online. We will not be sharing this form anywhere. It's a very simple form, very simple form. Open the click on the link, open it and fill it. Once you're done, please reply in the chat box. If someone has filled the attendance form, please reply with yes, so that I can go ahead now. Yeah, thanks, Prakash. So now let us have the basic idea of this legendary masonry layout, how this layout works. So for this, I have created a basic structure, and one second, fine. I, let us have grid template column with repeat functionality, and I want 10 column of 1FR. One second. Fine. So here, what this legendary masonry layout work do? So legendary masonry layout, or let one second, let me add some irregularities here. One second. So what I did, I have added some span functionality here in order to change the size of the items. So here, what this legendary masonry layout will do, grid auto flow as dance. See, so this is the beauty of legendary masonry layout. This property will fit your entire content in the page, but but the sequence is not guaranteed. If you read with me, 1 2 3 4 5 6 is here, 7 8 9 10 11 12 is here. So the sequence is not guaranteed, but all your content will be placed in the page. This is how the legendary masonry layout will work and place your entire items in the same web page. So today we will be closing here, and tomorrow we will be doing the rest of the CSS grid, and we'll try to do some projects, either one or two, depending upon the availability of the time. So and also one more important thing, we have a long 2 months boot camp to start from 6th of August, on every Saturday, 4 hours long, every Saturday 4 hours, in which we will be covering the entire web app development things, starting from HTML till React and Node. So in case anyone wants to join, I will share the link here for the bootcamp. This bootcamp is a paid bootcamp. One second, one second. One second. So this is the entire thing I have pasted in the chat box. So this will be a long 2-month bootcamp which we will be starting from August 6th. This will be on every Saturday, 6:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. And the cost of this bootcamp is very less, 15,000 only. So in case you want to join, please register fast. We have only 12 or 13 seats left. And based on some request, we have added 10 physical seats also. So in case someone wants to join, please join fast. So that's it. Thanks for the day. See you tomorrow at 2:45.